So on to question 7 for the May 2018 AS Edexcel paper 1. Okay, so question 7 is clearly a triangle question, so let's get a triangle drawn out. Okay, and it doesn't have to be super accurate in these questions, but it does need to kind of be labelled all correctly. So AB is length 10, so let's get that in first. AC is 5, and angle BAC, so that's this angle here, is just theta. Okay, so just take care that you'd have got it labelled up correctly, because it would affect whether you use the sine rule or the cosine rule, etc. Okay, now in this question the information that they've given us is that the area is 15, so you should know the formula for this triangle for the area would be a half AB sine C. Okay, now the best way to kind of change that so it's got the letters in that you want is look at the angle first. Okay, we actually want capital A on the end for the angle. Okay, so you can see little a and little b are used when this is capital C. So when this is capital A, it must be little b and little c here. And if we go up to our triangle and label that, this is going to be little b, this is going to be little c, and this is going to be little a. Okay, so we're going to get a half times little b, which is 5, little c, which is 10, multiplied by the sine of the angle. Okay, now we don't know what the angle is, we're just going to call it theta, but we do know what the answer is. It's telling us that it's 15 square centimetres, so we pop 15 in here. Okay, and basically then just collect all your numbers together. Okay, a half times 5 times 10 is 25. Okay, so we can put 25 here, that's equal to 15. Take the 25 over the other side, so sine theta is 15 over 25, and of course that just simplifies to 3 over 5. That's all you can really do with that information. I know the question, see this, if you read the question it says, oh, find two possible values of cos theta, it might make you think that you've got to use something different, but when they tell you that the area of the triangle is 15, you've got to use this formula. Okay, so now once you've got that sine equals 3 over 5 and you think, oh, I didn't really want that, I wanted cos, it's best to just use your trig identity that sine squared of an angle plus cos squared of the same angle is always equal to 1. Okay, so you plug in your value for sine theta, and don't forget sine squared theta means sine theta squared. Okay, it's just written in a different way, but really it's the order that you would work that out is you would find the sine of the angle first and then square it. Okay, so I'm just going to write this as c squared. Okay, just to save a little bit of writing. Okay, so this is going to be 1 minus this value here. Okay, you could pop that into your calculator, but it's not too difficult to do. If I write this as 25 over 25, the reason for that is that I know this is going to become 9 over 25, so I wanted the same denominator. 25 take away 9 is 16, and then square root. Okay, now the important bit when you square root is that there is a positive and negative value of a square root. Okay, let's write in cos theta again. So I square root this, I'm going to get 4 over 5. But it is really important that you always remember when you're square rooting a value, okay, that you get a positive and a negative. Okay, so we get two answers. Cos theta equals 4/5 and cos theta equals negative 4/5. Okay, so that gives you your two answers. So just clear the screen so that we can look at part B. It says find the exact length of BC, but they're telling us that BC is the longest side of the triangle, so we know that this needs to be bigger than 10. Okay, so if we don't get an answer bigger than 10, we know we've done something wrong. Okay, but really the main thing of this question is to look at this and understand that it's the cosine rule. Okay, this little group of stuff that we've got here is that we've got two sides and the angle between them. I know I've only written that as theta at the moment, it looks like we don't know it, but we know the answer to it from the previous question. Do you remember it was, or sine theta was 3/5, cos theta was plus or minus 4/5. Okay, so we do know what that angle is. And this is not maybe understood very well, is that When you've got sort of sine theta equals 3/5, there's not just one answer to that. So a lot of the trigonometry that you start learning at A level, you should understand that there's going to be more than one value to that. Okay, so what will happen here is one of the values would give you a value for BC that is going to be less than 10. Okay, and one that's going to be more than 10. Okay, so obviously we're going to try that later, and we're going to pick the one that will give us an answer that's greater than 10. Okay, but really the first thing is to just really do the cosine rule. Okay, so if we get our formula written out, now that's written perfectly for us because we've got capital A for theta, okay, and we're trying to find little a. Okay, so we don't need to change our letter in here. Okay, so we'll leave a squared as it is. Okay, b is 5. Okay, c is 10 minus 2 b c, and then the cosine of A. Now this is really what we were looking at just a second ago, is that the cosine of A is either 4/5 or minus 4/5. So I'm just going to kind of put that in there at the moment, that I really want to try both of these values and see what happens. Okay, so once we tidy it up, it'll be a little bit more obvious. Okay, 5 squared plus 10 squared is 125. Okay, and then 2 times 5 times 10 is 100. Okay, so we've got 100, and then multiplied by the cos of theta, which is these two numbers. Okay, so let's just think ahead what's going to happen here. Okay, we've got 125 and then subtract a number. Okay, so if that number is positive, it's going to get smaller, and that's going to give us a smaller value for A. Okay, but if we pick the cosine theta equals negative 4/5, okay, we're going to get minus a minus, so it's minus 100 times negative 4/5. Okay, so that's going to create a plus. Okay, so we get 125 plus, put it in your calculator again, but that's going to be 400 over 5, which is 80. Okay, so you can see why I chose the negative 4/5 there. It was to create a bigger number here on the right hand side. Okay, so final answer is A equals the square root of 205.